Hey guys, we're extra saucy tonight. We're gonna be messing with each other. Welcome to and welcome back to Tulsa Spotfest. Look at this, we got the full accoutrement of hosts. Welcome back, Austin Reddick. He did his husbandly obligations last week on Valentine's Day.
I mean, he's a better husband than me. It's clear. But hey, you know.
Oh, he's
an old time hang out with the wife.
He's a more recent husband than you. So we'll put it that way.
I know. 20 plus years of marriage, you're like, fuck it.
We typically don't do stuff for Valentine's Day either, which is funny. She just happens to be on the road a lot the next couple of weeks. So we're like, yeah, random Wednesday night. We got some time. Let's go out and do something. But yeah, typically it's just like another day of the week. It's
but you guys, and you also did probably the most Austin and Heidi type of thing you could do for Valentine's Day. Went to a bar and then went home and watched a good ass movie. So I mean,
yeah, we got some beers and some Italian beef sandwiches, and then watch A Knight's Tale. It was phenomenal.
Can I ask you a question?
Do it.
Were you weighed? Were you measured? Were you found wanting?
Weighed and measured, but not the last part. Austin Reddick is never found wanting.
This is where we're going tonight, guys. Welcome to Total Spot.
So bad,
yeah, we're getting saucy tonight.
It's one of them nights. We're gonna get to it. So I am JJ. That's Jamie, along with Austin here. If it's your first time here, hello and welcome. We hope you guys do enjoy us. We're gonna get into AEW Dynamite and some other things momentarily. Please, if you're here with us live, hop in the chat, join us in the chat. Definitely smash that like button. The algorithm's a great thing. It does help us out quite a bit. I hate to be a shill and ask for it, but then again, not so much. Just hit the like button. It's free. It takes a second. Click it. Do it.
Like whore. Hit it.
Like whore.
Like horse.
That may or may not be a new shirt.
I don't know if you read what I wrote, but I thought that was very on point. Stealing submissions and then staring at the subscribe button in black and white, even though it's in color.
Why is that so small? Okay, so I had the stupidest thing happen to me over the weekend, right? So it's happened to me both on my work computer, which is a Mac, and on my home computer, which is a Linux box. But I went to update Chrome, and it said, cool, update Chrome, hit the button, update Chrome. It's like, you need to download the new version. I'm like, no, just update it. What's wrong with you? Update it. Both of them wouldn't let me. I had to re-download and reinstall it, and then everything was reattached, and all my links were there, and it worked. But when I did that on my home computer, I had to re-sign into everything, and so it rescaled all the websites that because I got this big ass monitor, so everything's zoomed in. So I need to zoom in on that because that's really small.
Yeah,
this is a first world problem, like a son of a bitch. I know.
Yeah, for the tens of people who use Linux.
The exact same thing happened on my Mac, and there's 20s of people that use Macs as well.
I mean, most of them are. I mean, photographers and whatnots.
Yeah, they're popular among creative types.
Yeah, creative minds.
I want you to ask IT how many people at our company have a Mac, Jamie, and how many of them.
Well, a lot of them do it for clout, bro. Let's just be real. I use a Mac.
A lot of people that have Macs do it for clout. I'm not gonna lie. I when my computer crapped out on me at work, and I was talking to IT, he's like, "I can give this. I can give you a Mac. Give me a Mac, because I know a Mac's not gonna work." Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they don't get many viruses.
They don't break down. Anywho, nothing about my bitching and whining. How are you? So how are you doing, Jamie?
Good. I'm ready to talk about an awesome night of wrestling.
Well, let's just dive into it then. F it. Let's go.
So
tonight, I'll be back in 2 seconds. I just realized I walked into this podcast unprepared.
Oh. I know where this is going.
Okay. All right. I mean, he's not going to get the belt because your champion does sit over here. I just want to.
No, I forgot my coffee.
Oh,
maybe that's why I was getting saucy. I was under caffeinated.
And if you haven't noticed, Jamie has a new addition.
Austin Reddick is what we need, though.
Hey, I was sitting there. I was like, man, it smells like coffee. That's rad. And I was like, oh, shit, I made coffee, and I left it on top of the Keurig. Now I'm fully prepared to talk some wrestling.
I like it. Austin be sitting there just like, you know what? Coffee sounds good. I did make coffee. That's my coffee.
That's what it's like in the mind of Austin Reddick all the time.
I
Nice.
can only imagine. Let's get in the mind of Tony Khan. How about that, Jamie?
Yeah. Okay. So first off, for anybody who's just now joining us or has been a long listener of us, we have been pining for a couple things, and both of them happened tonight.
That is a correct statement. Yes.
So in that aspect, I felt like tonight was a success. I felt like, yes, there were 2 women's matches. Granted, one was a squash match, but it set up more. It was still 2.
Technically, there were 2 women's matches. You are correct.
They replaced Mr. Wardlow with Tony Storm.
I said that like 2 weeks ago.
Hey, Rob.
We've established Tony listens to the show. I said, hey, we've seen enough War Daddy squashes. Just like every other week, let a woman get a squash match in. And lo and behold, it happened.
It did.
You guys, okay, how about we start with the women's matches then, okay? Or do you
Let's
want to go
do it.
chronologically, Jamie?
Yeah. No, I don't want to go chronological today because the first match by far was the absolute freaking best match of the night, hands down.
Absolutely.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Like if you try to say anything else was remotely in the ballpark of that first match, you are 100% incorrect.
I've been the biggest proponent for 2 women's matches, and I got it, and I was left wanting. Because, yes, one was a squash match. I don't care if you have a squash match and another match. That's fine. The fact that they put them back to back, it's all in the same storyline. It's kind of just like one big match almost. And I hate to say this because I do love her. Madison Rayne was not the person that should have been out in the ring at all.
So let's talk about Deanna's match first, because I agree. That match sucked. I'm not even gonna try to sugarcoat it.
It was bad. It was real bad.
It was bad. Like the squash match was 10 times better than what that match was, in my opinion.
And I said I was a big fan of Madison Rayne when she's in TNA and all that a decade ago, right? She's been working she's been doing like administrative stuff, ROH things, right? For the past she hasn't wrestled in 6 months, right? And you got all these other women. You could have put Red Velvet back out there. I mean, you should have just wrestled Red Velvet, but Red Velvet or anybody else you could have put out
Diamante.
there in front of her. Sure, right. Trisha Dore or I was gonna say Queen Amanala, who's the newly signed. Congratulations, Queen, by the way, well deserved. But she just wrestled her as well. I mean, anybody you have all.
Billy Starks, right? Big Rob, all over it. Anybody but her, because she there was no reason for her to get dumped on her head. She did that.
She did that. She's rusty.
Yeah.
She hadn't wrestled in 6-7 months, and that's
you could tell Deanna's arguably one of the safest wrestlers I've ever watched. Obviously we're gonna get our actual wrestler to talk about that here in just a second, but I thought she just looked out of place. It looked slow. It looked discombobulated because honestly it looked like Madison Rayne had no clue what she was doing.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was not TV quality.
no.
That's the simplest way to put it. And I have no issues with Madison Rayne as a performer, but it's probably past her time to be wrestling on TV outside of maybe trot her out on Rampage every once in a while. But you've got her backstage doing backstage things. You have a deep well of women you could have used in that spot. But that's what you went with. And they tried, bringing it in that, Madison was her mentor a decade ago and stuff like that.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's a fun little note. But those of us that know who Madison Rayne is, which is most people watching the show, or at least somewhat familiar, we know Madison Rayne hasn't really been a regular performer in some time. And going into that match, once they announced it, my first thought was that's probably not going to be great. Just you're still in the period of introducing Deonna to your audience. This does not help. And this entire build has really, going back to the A Knight's Tale reference, it's been found wanting. I am not hype about the build up to this match, even though I know full well that when you finally put Deonna and Toni Storm in the ring in a 1-1 match, the match itself is probably going to be very good. But this build is doing nothing for Deonna, which I'm kind of glad we started with this, because as y'all might have noticed, I am back to full stash power.
Yes.
And with great stash comes great knowledge. And we're going to talk about something that's kind of relevant to this, but has been a big on the internet discourse over the last day or so. If
us your knowledge, oh master of the stash.
Yeah. So if you are on the Twitter, as most of us are, if you're watching this podcast, you probably spend some time on there as well.
I mean, we're on the internet right now.
Yeah,
so.
You might have seen the son of one Mr. Ice Cube kind of talk, and I don't want to say he was taking a shot at AEW. Like, he was getting asked a question, he was answering, but it centers around something that comes up from time to time when AEW announces that someone's got a match coming up and they put a flyer, and the handful of wrestlers that live under a rock and don't know any other wrestling exists always come with a "who's that?" which led itself into a discussion over how much work should a company put into telling you who these people are that aren't coming out of nowhere. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up during this match, and I'd be interested to get y'all's opinion, so I'm going to start this out with a question.
Ooh.
Would you rather have the build they've done so far with Deonna, talking about her past with Toni, bringing in her tie to Madison Rayne, telling you more about where she's been and why you should care? Or would you rather have seen Deonna come in and just be beating women decisively every week, progressively better competition to build up to a match with Toni for the title Revolution?
I mean, I'm just going to make this easy. I'll take option 2, please.
I perfect. I'm gonna take option 1.
See, I am in the sane crowd, and I'm gonna also take option 2 because, like the Madison Rayne connection, nobody cared. The Toni and Deonna stuff from back in the day, it was kind of interesting, but nobody really cared. Which comes back to my greater point: if someone gets announced and you don't know who they are, you can look them up. If they've made it to this point, there's footage on YouTube. There's plenty of places to see them. But it's way more important what you do with them once they're on the screen. We all knew who Deonna was coming in. And if you had told an AEW fan that was unfamiliar, like, oh, Deonna's legit, she's great, she was Impact Knockouts champion, like, she's awesome, they would probably buy into it as well. But if you told that person, gave that person that had never seen her before all that information, and you only saw, your only actual like visual experience of Deonna was the matches and promos she's had coming up till now, are you invested at all in this match at Revolution?
Jamie, I want you to explain why you chose option 1.
So I think this is because I am a smart, if you will. And I think that's why. I really enjoy storytelling. I think that is one of the best arts in all of wrestling, and that's one of the main reasons why I started hating the Fed back in, when it got really dumb, because they weren't doing really good stories. And this is, the thing is I personally knew the past because I've been a wrestling fan for such a long time. I like how they're rekindling it, especially with how crazy essentially Toni is right now. So I felt like it was a good way to accentuate her madness, along with still making Deonna look relevant. Now, if I did not know the past, then yes, like just have Deonna come in and just wreck shit. Like just, make everybody tap out. Like, not only do the Venus de Milo, but do 18 other submissions. Just make her look like she's some unstoppable force. That would have been cool. But since I knew the past and I knew their relationship, that's why I liked it.
Well, I got 2.5 counterpoints why I agree with Austin on this. Okay. The first one is to kind of take that and run with it. That's exactly what they did in TNA with her or at Impact, right? She became who she was at Impact just by going in there and just by beating women down, saying 5 words and putting them in stupid moves, right? And just banger after banger after banger. Her and Taya had all these great matches. Her and Jordan had all these great matches. The whole list, right? That's also how Jamie Hayter became so damn over. They never turned Hayter on Britt, not fully. They kind of teased it, but they never turned her on Britt. She never really had a promo for, other than a recorded bit here and there, a little bit, this and that. She just went out there and beat up bitches. And the crowd loved Jamie Hayter. Still loves Jamie Hayter. Is it 2 women doing the exact same thing in the same promotion? Yes. Can it still work? Absolutely. But that's part why I agree. The other part is, and this might be a side question we can get back to if you want, or we can put a pin in this, come back sometime later. I honestly think that maybe they've done such a good job with Tony, you can't put anybody else in her stratosphere in a storyline, because Tony works so well with the craziness on her own, and now you're trying to layer it with this personal history on top of that. You almost don't care. You just want to see the crazy Tony, right? So you put a woman who's not good at promos into a promo war with the promo queen, and you don't let her go up there and just beat up women? That's why I think it would have been better to do the other one. Now, I'm still amped for the match. I think it's going to be great. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, and to kind of follow up on one of your counterpoints, Jamie, the things you liked about it is the Tony side of things.
Oh, 100%.
And that's kind of the overarching point. Trying to set this backstory and explain more who Deonna is did nothing for Deonna Purrazzo.
No.
We know what she can do in the ring. That's going to make people give a shit about her. But yeah, this entire, and this is kind of going outside of the set. To wrap up the stash really quick, stop listening to Ice Cube's son for wrestling opinions. Because his dad was cool and famous, he's entitled to an opinion, but I think we're giving him a little bit more credit. If you don't know who someone is, look them up or just watch them and then make your decision, is the overarching point of the stash of knowledge. But to go back to this build specifically, it seems like every turn they've just kind of made Deonna look useless. Tonight was another example. Tony came out and kind of half threatened her with the shoe, and she ducks a thing. She gets distracted by Mariah. Then they're laying side to side across the ring. This lady just attacked you, and and put you in the ankle lock and wouldn't let go, and you're just kind of sitting there staring at her. Stuff. I did like the split screen color graphics, that black and white on one side.
That was great.
But they have done nothing to make Deonna look like a legitimate threat to Toni Storm, when they could have just had her aggressively murdering women week in and week out, until you realize, oh, Tony may have met her match, and then you can layer in, by the by, they've got some history. Now we got a little bit better build. At this point, it just seems like it's going to be Luther hands Tony a mirror. She hits her with the running ass, and then probably puts her in a submission while she's unconscious and gets the win. That's what I'm predicting for Evolution right now.
And that in part is kind of more of my issue, is that I think you've almost, I don't want to say you've storylined Tony into a corner, but you kind of storylined her into a corner,
For 3 weeks. Let's be real.
You can put her with plenty of other women. You just need someone that's got the energy and charisma to keep up with her. And that's not Deonna's game. Deonna is great in the ring. And like we've said, the match is going to be phenomenal. I have no doubts about the match itself. But yeah, you bring Dion in immediately, have her just getting outmatched in the promo work and the character work, and it doesn't get you excited about her.
No. And I'm with you, Jamie. Yes. Big business in Boston.
And yes,
that still bothers the shit out of me.
That's when you get somebody in Tony's stratosphere. And dare I say, above her atmosphere level.
I would agree with that.
I am interested to see what the AEW crowd does when the two of them are in the ring together. If it jumps right to that. I'm interested to see if they turn on Toni Storm, or if, because she's doing the most entertaining work pretty much anyone's doing in wrestling right now, whether it's 50-50 split or like how that shakes out. But like that kind of makes it fun. Could go either way.
Yeah, honestly, like for me, Toni Storm is arguably the most interesting person in wrestling right now, other than R-Truth.
I was about to say the same thing.
R-Truth right now, I absolutely love what he's doing right now.
R-Truth is a treasure in general, but my God, the amount of times he reinvents the same
called
gimmick.
DIY DX. Come on, man.
The fact that he stole Cena's comeback and just like unironically just pops the John Cena comeback now. Kills me.
That's because Cena was his idol growing up, even though Cena's younger than him. That's not important. I mean, it's.
Oh, we got a question coming in from the chat.
Oh, we got a question from the
Anthony,
chat.
That's a great question. I like this question. What young female wrestler do you feel would make the most sense in the BCC?
Because you specified young, I will not go with the obvious answer of Serena Deeb.
Yes.
I don't know about young, but I have a name in mind, and it's one that's already been put out there by the internet. Marina Shafir.
Yeah.
Marina would be great. I don't think it would. I think it would make sense from a character standpoint, but I don't think it makes sense because it's completely unnecessary. But Jamie Hayter would fit in real well with that group.
Yeah.
Technically, yes.
But she does not need it. She's going to be over like $1 million as soon as she comes back.
Right.
I like Marina. Marina's a really good answer. And it's another of those kind of obvious ones. Like she's done the blood sport with Mox and all that.
Yeah.
But it would be a very fun thing to do with Marina. And it would give her some direction. I've got a serious answer and just something I would like to see. That's basically my default answer anytime the women's division's brought up. Okay. I'm gonna throw that one out first and go with Riho. I want Riho as the lead pipe out there with the BCC. My more serious answer,
Austin Reddick over here, ladies and gentlemen.
I do love seeing Riho just chasing people around with the pipe. It's one of those things in wrestling that will never not work for me. I think outside of that, I wouldn't mind seeing Nyla Rose with the BCC.
Okay.
So I think it'd be a good chance to harden her up a little bit and give her a little bit more serious direction. And just something to do. I would like to see Nyla with the BCC.
I kind of like what she's doing right now. Like, I don't know if you saw that she wore a hat that said hat, shirt that said shirt. Like, that shit just popped me.
Yeah.
She took a full page ad out in PWI, the magazine. And the page was all black with a picture of Serpentico and a giant Ghostbusters no smoking thing on top of it. And that was the ad.
So for me, when I think BCC, I think violence, I think very technically sound, and I think of imposing, honestly, other than Wheeler. Megan Bayne. Great way to introduce her to AEW.
To AEW very shortly here.
Yeah, well, she's never really been. She did a couple dark matches, but she's never really.
She's been signed to AEW, and they sent her over to Japan.
She's been moonlighting, but Megan Bayne would make an excellent addition to them. Or if you wanted to go with somebody else who's a lovable loser who always seems to never quite get it, but went on a date this Wednesday, that would be one Ruby Soho.
Hey, Ruby.
I like Ruby with the
work.
BCC. I think that would actually
Ruby
that would
actually makes a
work
lot
out
of
pretty
sense
well.
with the BCC,
Yeah.
especially because she's, you know, she knows them. She's real life friends with, you know, them outside, right? You know, it does make a lot of sense. Not gonna lie, Ruby is actually a really good choice for the BCC.
She's the Missouri University version of a wrestler. A lot of people cheer for him. A lot of people remember the back of the day, but you know what? They're good. They're good. They're not great though.
Yeah. Take that 10-2 with the Cotton Bowl championship and shove it up your ass. All right.
Oh.
Oh,
Here we go. You guys had a choice who you would want to replace Wheeler.
Well, I'm gonna give you my final because these guys gave 2 names out. I'm gonna give you a dream answer of mine as well. Thekla.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, that would be great. Who do we want to replace Wheeler with in the Blackpool Combat Club?
First of all, I personally don't want to replace Wheeler. I like Wheeler where he's at.
But if we had to, like, he's the weakest link, guys.
to.
Like, let's just be real.
He's the young boy. You're always gonna. Yeah, I get it.
I think they've done a good job of like putting him in that young boy role with the BCC, but also he doesn't have personality. Like, and he's not as vicious in the ring as someone like Claudio, who isn't overflowing with personality. But you still in the ring, there's a technical excellence, there's an aggression, there's just the strength of, like, you still believe him in the ring. Wheeler, he has good matches, but like there's no real reason to be interested about him. Heather throwing out Daniel Garcia, I think, is the easiest and most obvious choice. Daniel Garcia is doing too much good stuff on his own right now. We'll get to that in short order. I would like to see, and again, he doesn't need it. You wouldn't have to do it. I'd like to see Orange Cassidy in the BCC.
Oh my God, that'd be so great after everything you went through with him.
Just a complete 180. Now he only cares about one thing, and it's kicking ass.
You know who I would like to see in the BCC when he's done his whole side job? Jack Perry.
I don't know. He doesn't have a father. I don't know if you knew this.
I'm just saying.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Like Shingo Takagi, I think that's a great one there.
Somebody Japanese in general would fit in well, especially with kind of Danielson
Ibushi.
sort of. Oh,
Yeah, I think,
part of them?
okay.
If you were going to replace Yuta with in the BCC with anybody, I would say someone relatively unknown, kind of going back to the who is this person, but someone from elsewhere in the world. Give me a lucha. Give me a Japanese guy. Give me like a British strong style guy. Give me someone a little more worldly and like just great in the ring, but like a younger guy that is not just some kind of boring, uncharismatic dude from the Northeast.
All right. So Heather made mention. We're gonna turn in that direction. I think.
Yeah.
Because
So let's talk about Daniel Garcia's promo for a quick second.
Wait, real quick, before we move on from the women, we'd be remiss to not mention local Tulsa, but not really because she lives in town and watches my dogs on occasion. Local competitor Sydney Dwinnell, aka Stormy Renee, from the Kansas, Oklahoma kind of Midwest scene. Loved seeing her out there getting an opportunity. Big fan of Stormy. It was great seeing her get that shot.
she actually got good pop in this from Tulsa crowd too. So.
She did. She does work down there a lot.
And Stormy will be in Kansas City. And just 10 days?
Yeah, March 8th. Was that a week, 2 weeks from Friday?
Yeah.
17
Okay,
days.
so, yeah.
About 15 days.
17. Okay.
Friday, March
Whatever.
8th. However
2
many
Fridays
days
from
from
now,
now,
guys.
then.
Couple weeks from now, we'll talk more about that later. Okay. All right.
All right. So let's move on. So I want to get into Daniel Garcia because she did that, and then like,
Okay, let's talk about Daniel
gonna
Garcia.
Tell on myself. I want to tell on myself.
Second best promo of the night, and I'm gonna stand by that statement later on. Trust me.
No. That's not a hot take or anything. That's accurate, dude.
Okay.
Because even so, Megan and I were eating dinner, watching it, and she goes, "Hey, when did blah 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 get like? I thought he sucked on the mic." And I'm like, he usually does. And like, so we'll get into that in just a second.
Okay.
But so does Daniel Garcia typically. So
we're gonna be there, Rob. We'll talk more about it here at the end of the show. Just stick around, okay?
So Daniel Garcia comes out, cuts a mean ass promo about how he's now the #1 contender for the TNT, total babyface style. It was because of everybody who got him out of his low spot, and it's he just needs 3 seconds. And yeah, like that's all I needed, and I turned everything around. It's because of you, like total babyface.
For
the
him,
crowd
it was a
good
good promo. For him.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was a good promo, regardless. Like
good.
this was a babyface promo. This is how you build a babyface, and
which is what you
more so than the promo,
for, right?
Yeah, more so than the promo was his last little bit after Christian got on the mic.
Okay.
The why don't you come down here and I'll put you in the ground with him? Like that's babyface fire 101 right there. Yeah, love what you're doing, Daniel Garcia right now.
I don't know if you noticed he threw out the eye. Don't ever talk about my mom like that. It's like, oh shit. Like
he finally got that personality. We've been waiting. I mean, the dance was there. He's over, but we finally got some fire and some personality. Like, love what they're doing with Daniel Garcia right now.
So I need to ask you guys a question. And I want to ask everybody, obviously, who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
When Christian came out, how many of you Googled if Daniel Garcia's father was still alive?
I did not.
I was hunting. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Is this a thing? And it's like, his father's dead. Let's go.
And oh my. Like, we can never replace Iron Sheik heat, but Christian heat is getting up there with terminology. I mean, because he's got the good heat going. Yes, I know Mama Wayne's there. Austin's not a fan of non-wrestlers being a part of it. I get it. I don't mind it personally. I don't mind that she's in this little faction because of the way that they have her positioned. But the whole patriarchy's there. He starts going into it, telling him how it's not that, what did he say here? It's not that it's like, I just don't think you're ready,
Mm-hmm.
And this is why. And then he shoots on his dead father masterfully. And the crowd it
was so good.
Went so, like, you couldn't see they could go any deeper. It's kind of like when Don Callis was at the peak of his heat, right? It's like, no way they can hate them more. Oh, wait, I was wrong. It was so
there's more.
good.
Yeah, Christian's heel work right now is like all-time great. Oh. It's so good. He knows how to pace these promos perfectly to let the crowd boo just enough, but to keep it moving along. Yeah, him telling Daniel Garcia he's not ready, then sending Nick Wayne out there to immediately get put in a sharpshooter while Garcia still talks shit to Christian and them was great. And then the surprise chair shot from Daddy Magic, like they shot that perfectly where you did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy Magic became a face just right then and there, right in front of our eyes because of a chair shot.
I'll take it. Yeah. Oh, and I do want to go back for a quick second here. Because Anthony did ask about, we did miss this. Anthony asked about Billy Starks being in the BCC. I say too young. I like what they're doing with her.
I think what they're doing with her is great right now.
I think her with the BCC kind of takes away what the draw of Billy Starks is right now. She's just like young,
she's 18,
nice. Yeah,
like just 18, right? So
yeah, we've seen her.
You take that away by putting her with the group of people that just run around beating people up.
Yeah, give her a few years if you want to do a character change. Yeah, she's got the range for it. We all know Billy, so yes, it's well worth it. All right, so announced as
How about we
well.
go back to a
Official
match, guys.
Well, I was gonna say announced as well. Christian versus Daniel at Revolution. So the card's coming together, guys.
It's coming together pretty hard. So let's go ahead and talk about the second match of the night, because obviously I want to save that first match. Orange Cassidy versus Mike Bennett. And this match was excellent. Orange Cassidy seems to not ever have a bad match. Mike Bennett is a consummate pro. Excellent match from him too. I loved his mic work when he got on there, and it was like, he's losing his belt. He's losing his belt, which I believe he is. But then Taven and everybody starts coming out and beating up Orange Cassidy after the win. And an unsuspecting ally? Where's his hat?
Oh, he's gone past that.
I think Danhausen has it now. I think that's canon. That Danhausen has the purple hat.
That's canon.
He stole it a while back. I remember that. Yeah, the Jake Hager run in. Why? Who cares? Who was that for?
I hate to say this. I have a big why for this whole thing. A lot of the show after the first match, with a few parts, like the Daniel Garcia, like another promo later, right? For the most part, it was like all my excitement was expelled in that first 25 minutes, and then it just to me for the most of the rest of the show. There was a few other, like I said, the Daniel Garcia, another promo, a couple little things here and there. This match was not needed for this story. Could have given this time to somebody else, right? I know Orange Cassidy's over. You want to get him on. I get it, right? We've seen this exact same thing for the last 4 AEW shows. And they even did a bit about it, about how much he's running himself to the bone before he goes out there for another match for no title against another guy inside of the whole thing. And then Jake Hager, because it's Oklahoma, I guess.
Yeah. Keep up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Heather's about to hit us with some trunk stuff here. I can't wait.
Yeah, okay, you're in Oklahoma, so you said you're giving him the match on Rampage. He's gonna get the pop in an hour and a half when you tape that. That's not good for TV. That's good for your live crowd and for Rampage that people don't watch because it's the third show. But why is and it's one of those things where Hager's going to insert himself just to have a match on Rampage, and then we'll probably not be involved in this anymore going forward. I didn't mind them doing the match. I like the story they're telling, because I do also agree that Orange Cassidy's going to drop the title at Revolution, and they're telling the story that his whole thing where he just always says, okay, cool, wrestle. He accepts challenges before they're even laid out. That's going to bite him in the ass. He's wearing himself out, and that's how he's going to get that's an interesting story. There's so many more people that could have got that pop of running out and got an even bigger pop and made you care that aren't Jake Hager, who outside of just being from Oklahoma, not even from Tulsa, he's from a little ways away. Yeah, why is Jake Hager on Dynamite in 2024?
And that's the way I felt about this whole thing. Again, it's just why
I want Danhausen.
Danhausen would
be
that'd been perfect.
Why isn't Danhausen making the save?
Well, he's got
Danhausen and Riho with the pipe.
Danhausen's got a big match against Brandon Cutler on ROH this week, so he's got to prepare for that. Danhausen also challenging Warhorse on the 17th in St. Louis at Glory Pro for the Gateway Championship. Let's go.
Yes. I will not be there for that. My wife's going to be in Jamaica, so I have to take care of all my kids solo. So there's that.
Take your kids to the show.
Yeah.
We floated that idea to them. He has teenagers, so you can imagine how well that went over.
Megan was in. Megan was in. But Audrey was for sure in. And then the other two were like, meh.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're missing. They could see Danhausen live.
I know.
It's experience of a lifetime.
All right. So after that, they had a quick interview with Ric Flair. Don't care. I'm not even gonna say. I just I want to talk about
You
Sting's promo. Sting's promo. What'd you guys think about that? I mean, I was wondering if we were gonna see Christian's head pop out, like as soon as he started talking. Like, what?
My head went there too when he started mentioning his dad passing away. I thought Christian was just gonna do a walk by, and that was probably just thinking about Christian getting involved was the highlight of the promo for me. This
It sucked.
This ain't it. Is all I can say about. And like who am I to question anything the Stinger ever does? But this wasn't it.
The problem with it is, and Austin, you can talk about this maybe if you want, but Jamie, it just sometimes you do a promo that's a little too accurate and a little too real that just doesn't land. And that's what this felt like. It's like your dad literally passed away a week ago, and you're working him into a promo about your mortality because it's your what? What?
Yeah,
you're fighting the Young Bucks because they beat up you and your kids. I get your dad passed away. You and I both lost parents. We understand this, right? You know, it hurts. This is not the place to put that in there. It doesn't fit the storyline, Stinger. I'm sorry. Take a little more time off. That didn't make any sense to me in any of this context. Honestly, it's like
we're all gonna watch this match regardless.
Yeah,
like we don't need.
Like Orange Cassidy, I'm good. I got it. Yes, give it to me. I'm buying the thing.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I don't mind Sting bringing up his dad passing away. And also, like, Sting is 60. His dad passing, like, anyone losing their father, generally speaking, is a sad moment, all that. But, like, his dad was an elderly man. Like, it's not quite the same as like, something else. But it didn't really, like, make sense in the context of what's going on. But I thought even worse than the dad part was when he started talking about, this is the first time anyone's attacked my own flesh and blood, about his sons getting jumped. Sting's sons are grown-ass men. Fairly large grown-ass men.
Big old
boys.
Like,
yeah, this isn't Swerve breaking into Hangman's house and standing over his infant's crib.
Right.
Like, this was Sting. Your two adult sons got beat up by guys that weigh like 70 pounds less than them. They should just show up to Dynamite and beat up the Bucks themselves. Yeah, I just found myself asking myself why? Like, why this here? Give me something else with the Stinger, please. This just wasn't it.
Again,
yeah, dud.
Unnecessary. This again, just like my thing with Orange Cassidy. This is unnecessary for this. You could have told a different story about a different match, maybe. I don't know.
And I do think like some of this show really felt like, all right, we've got 2 more Dynamites to kill, but we've got Revolution pretty much booked up. What do we do? And it was just some filler.
That was a lot of filler.
Yeah.
With a nice big exception before the main event, Jamie.
War Daddy. Oh, sorry. So sorry. Whoa.
No.
My fault.
No.
Mr. Wardlow.
Mr. Wardlow.
So, as much as I have personally...
He's struggling so hard to get these words, Austin. Look at him. He doesn't want to say them. He's struggling so
physically
hard.
painting him.
I know, it kind of is. As much as I have 100% shit on Mr. Wardlow so many times for his inability to speak. We all thought that his packaging in the beginning was completely wrong, like how they had him booked. I think they're doing much better with his heel work right now, and he has definitely earned the Mr. Wardlow moniker. Homeboy can talk all of a sudden, and now I don't know what to do. Plain simple, guys. Everybody, I am sorry for shitting on Mr. Wardlow, but the moment he does a bad promo again, I'm gonna be all over it. Like, right, all right.
I have a cautious optimism that he will not have a bad promo again.
No,
he'll have some that are just kind of mid, because that happens to everybody. But I'm holding out hope because I saw right at the end of the MJF stuff, I saw what Wardlow could be. But sometimes with the promos, and this is as someone that has gotten on that mic and cut promos before, sometimes you get that one where it clicks and then it just makes sense to you. Oh, this is how I cut a promo. This is how I talk in a way that people give a shit what I'm saying. Because once you get there, the actual content of the promo doesn't matter as much. And there's a long history on this show of me pointing out how many of MJF's promos were just grabbing at low-hanging fruit and kind of mailing it in. Yep. Still widely regarded as one of the best talkers because of his delivery and his ability to just talk on the mic. Sometimes once you get it once, you understand it. And I'm holding out hope that Wardlow is just going to get it going forward.
I love this wholeheartedly for a lot of reasons. Okay. For one, this is obvious. We didn't expect to have Wardlow cuts promo of the night on our bingo card ever. Not just 2024, like ever. Right. By himself. Adam Cole wasn't even in Oklahoma. I know that because I watched his stream earlier today when he was watching Nintendo Direct. Super psyched for the Ender Lilies sequel, by the way. That's going to be awesome. By himself, nobody else was there, right? He begins by shooting on just that. This is how I was presented, and my name was chanted, and you guys, and he basically gives you his entire life in AEW in a matter of 35, 40 seconds. Very good, right? Then he shoots on CM Punk, MJF, and Samoa Joe without literally saying their names. Classic promo work stuff there, right? You know, take the shots, do the things. Yes, he had an evolution of sorts, right? He turned into Batista a little bit, you know, the look at me, but the way it was done was just so good. I mean, everything about this was like, yep, that's what you do with a big guy to be a top star. Finally figured it out.
And granted, this was just one time, 1 week, but like I said, I'm optimistic going forward. But it kind of reminded me of when Roman Reigns finally figured out how to start talking.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know what to do for a good couple of years. And then it just kind of clicked. He relaxed, he was more natural, and he became as good as you could need to be on the mic. Yeah. Keep making Wardlow look good because that's you can make money with that guy.
I mean, he's got all the intangibles.
I mean, to Heather's point, he is eye candy, and he is a physical specimen,
and he can.
No one is denying that.
And he can do moves. He's not just to go up there Hulk smash type. He can. I mean, he does a fucking senton atomico for God's sake, right?
Yeah, he's athletic as shit.
Jesus, good job, Excalibur.
Committed to the bit.
Senton atomico.
That's what.
The hell? It's a swanton.
Oh, is it a tiger? What's a tiger fang kick? Do you call it a tiger fang kick or do you call it a 619?
It's a 619. Always and forever.
Yeah,
it's also
619.
It's also a tiger fang kick.
Do you call a super kick, or do you call it a thrust kick?
Do you call it sweet chin music ever?
For one man and one man alone.
Oh, so there's a little exception for. Okay, all right.
It's a super kick, but for him, it's sweet chin music.
It's a super kick
for
him too.
While we're kind of on this little side road for a second, when I was younger, a Hurricane Rana was just someone that didn't know what to call a Frankensteiner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Like, for the longest time, I was just like, that's the Frankensteiner. Why are these lucha guys calling it a Hurricane Rana? Which now I just call it a Hurricane Rana. But for like a good 10 to 15 years, I only recognize that move as the Frankensteiner.
So good.
Well, I love too because you still have it. You even have it in like this very show, right? Is that a Scorpion Deathlock or is that a sharpshooter? It's the exact same thing.
It's a Scorpion Deathlock if it's one man.
To me, it was a sharpshooter
Oh.
because I grew up watching WWF and didn't start tuning into WCW till the later years. So to me, it was a sharpshooter. But if we're being technically correct, it is a Scorpion Deathlock.
And then, of course,
One man does the
Okay.
Scorpion Death. Just like one man does a Scorpion Death drop.
I don't know. Darby Allin's done a Scorpion Deathlock if you watch TV.
Yeah, well, it's a sharpshooter.
Okay, let's go on. Kudos to Wardlow. This was another high point for me in a night that was mostly
Proud of him. I'm
Well
really
done,
proud
big
of him.
guy.
Let's see where they go with this, because he's in a match at Revolution. That match is Meat Madness. That's all we know. I am sold, regardless.
Yep.
Meat Madness. So him, Will Hobbs,
Big Bill.
Butcher, like who else?
Keith Lee.
Keith Lee. Oh,
Keith Lee.
well, he's
Yeah,
injured.
Is he healthy?
Is he injured?
Yeah, he's hurt.
Oh, okay.
That's unfortunate. But they got
Zach
Big
Zing.
Bill. I want to see Big Bill in the Meat Mountain match.
I mean, they'll
Big
probably
Bill
put
for
Brian
sure.
Cage in there too. You know, I mean,
Brian Cage. Yeah. Just get all the meat.
must have a minimum 56-inch chest to enter this match.
And that thing needs to be brought to you by Arby's.
Hey, maybe
that
we'll get the
Arby's
Hero
sponsored
pay-per-view
by
match.
Arby's.
Maybe they'll throw
If there's-
Miro in that.
I want to see a table full of like beef and cheddars, or just like on the side.
Yeah. The winner gets that in a meat suit.
The winner gets a literal entire cow.
One.
We are having we could do this all night, folks, but we won't.
Oh,
Let's
I
quit.
got high hopes for Meat Mountain match.
Meat
Yeah.
Madness. Oh my god, it's gonna be great. Anyway,
Meat Madness. All right, so we're gonna talk about the main event, then we're gonna talk about our main event.
Please.
So Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, and Brian Cage versus Hook, Rob Van Dam, Mr. Wednesday Night, and then Adam Hangman Magnum TA Page. He is 100% like Magnum TA.
I like the subtleties they did with Hanger in the promos before the match, right? You know, and the kind of the subtleties they did with him too. The whole like not fully yelling out, "We've heel turned him," but you've heel turned him, right? This whole match was just weird. I don't know. I wanted to like it more than I did.
I just loved RVD. That's all. I'm a RVD mark, dude. I got Rolling Thunder.
It was kind of weird throwing Hook and RVD into this match with your main event storyline people.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got RVD. It's not a bad match to throw him in. Yeah, it was just a little weird. And it was fine. There were some fun spots, but like, yeah, overall, it was a match.
It
Took up some time on TV. Killed time before Revolution.
I mean, it wasn't bad. And then,
Yeah.
I mean,
it
no
wasn't
one had
bad.
to eat
I'm not
the
saying
pin
it
or
was bad
anything.
you know.
Samoa Joe tapped out RVD. It was perfect. Like, no one ate the pin.
I mean, Hook didn't look terrible, right? You know, Brian Cage didn't look bad, right? You got a little standoffness. You build up some stuff. You know, more, you put more with between Swerve and Hanger. Okay, right? You got Joe's gonna kill you chant. RVD pop. It was fine. RVD's apparently looking for Prince Nana's weed, by the way. So there's that.
Now, that popped the shit out of me when he brought that back during the
Lost it when that happened.
during
And
the
then,
pre-tape.
and then, like, what Heather's saying is like, why are you yelling, man?
Which is funny because he's like so mellow, but then he comes out to fucking Pantera. Go figure.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to see RVD, but yeah, this just kind of felt like a little more filler.
Didn't feel like
Yeah.
a main event for sure.
And can we be honest about RVD? I mean, he's not the whole fucking show anymore. He's long. Those days are
He's
long
like
since gone.
60 almost.
But he is arguably like
He's still got it.
legit still good. Like
Yeah.
scary.
I mean,
I just
Yeah.
think old dudes, I just don't think they can go,
I like that. I like when they throw him in tag matches. Play the hits, take a couple bumps, and we get to experience RVD.
Perfect.
Everybody loves RVD.
I'm with it. Like I said, I didn't have any problem with this match. It was just a match. It was kind of not a main event, in my opinion.
No, the main event was the very first match of the night, gentlemen.
Fucking was. Oh.
BCC versus FTR.
I don't know which way I'm going here. I'm just pointing at stuff.
And here's the thing. That match, so like, remember when we talked about, you weren't here last week, but when we talked about like this match is having a Revolution.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, well, they announced it for next time. Oh, okay, well, something's gonna happen. And I knew it. I called it. It was the best 20-minute draw that was not a non-Iron Man match that I can remember in recent history. Like, they tore the roof off, built it back up, tore the motherfucker off again. Like, this match was saintly. Like, it's like almost touching God watching this thing. Like, it was that good.
Jamie's looking for words on this, Austin.
Yeah, this, and we just talked about how the main event didn't really feel like a main event. This was the main event.
Oh,
you just couldn't put it on last. Like this, I love when they kick off the show with what's probably going to be the best match.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not sure how long it's going to go. Now, this went to the time limit draw, which I think was a good call, but you didn't know going in for sure that there was going to be something like that going on.
Yeah.
One thing AEW does well is sometimes people win, sometimes people lose. So you weren't guaranteed, or you weren't sure going in there was going to be like a non-finish, but I thought the time limit draw was good. If I had to put money down, I would say it ends up being like a dog collar match at Revolution, which I would be here for 100%. But this was fucking pro wrestling. This was any era of pro wrestling. It would have worked. This was great tag team pro wrestling as well. This is what you want from your pro wrestling TV product. Like, this was 20 straight minutes of some of the best pro wrestling you could ever ask for. And I'm glad I got to see it tonight. I think that's like all I can say about it is just, it was great.
You had 4 guys who don't put on bad matches all in the same match. You set this up last week with an almost time limit near draw, but tap out, right? You've built this the proper way with the proper cadence, proper timing before the pay-per-view, right? There's no reason for this to happen other than both teams are a couple of badasses and they want to fight people and fuck you, let's fight, right? Fantastic. A draw. Wow. Might have been obvious, and Mark Shadamas over to my right there was the perfect call naturally. I already gave you your stamp. You can stop your waddle. And maybe it was this was so good. Everything else to me personally was like a bit of a disappointment because you had lots of promos and all this boring stuff, right? But this was well worth it. And I don't know. You say dog collar. I'm gonna go out on something I know it won't happen, but I'm gonna throw it out there. Tag team last man standing. You have to knock both guys out for the full 10 seconds.
Oh, please no. Please no.
That'd be like an hour and 15-minute match.
Tell me you don't want to see that.
I don't want to see any last man standing match ever.
He's not a last man standing guy.
You hate that gimmick? Okay.
I hate that gimmick. The finish is never as good as it should be because you awkwardly wait, and it's either both guys are down and one guy makes to his feet last, which has been done a million times. The guy makes it to his feet just for the count. Or it's just some guy standing there like a dipshit while the other guy lays down, the ref counts. Like, it's too long of a time to kind of leave that finish up in the air with nothing going on. I hate it. I wish they'd kind of update it for modern times a little bit and just have it at the ref's discretion when someone can't continue anymore. I don't think you need the standing 10 count.
Almost, right?
I think you fight, just like a TKO in MMA. I think you fight until the ref has to step in and stop it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, as long as and like so to like make it kind of like the UFC thing, the rule is you have to protect yourself at all times. Once you are no longer intelligently defending yourself, you lose. So you get to a point where someone's just getting beat and they start just covering up and laying there. The ref throws it out. That's just a much bigger finish
Okay.
where it ends at the high point instead of some cool spot. And then let's wait while this guy in the stripes counts to 10 to see if this is actually over or not.
All right. Jamie, what about you, man?
Unsanctioned blackout match.
Blackout
Just go
match?
for it. Unsanctioned. Like,
I mean,
just
there's some of the obvious things there could be. You think cage match, cool, right? You know, insert whatever moniker you want for
I would
just
love to see Buried Alive, actually. Like, they
I
haven't
would
done
love
that.
to see. I'd love to see Iron Man do 60-man Iron Man between tag teams. Who can get the most wins in 60 minutes?
Tag team Iron Man would be great. I honestly wouldn't be sad if they just made it 2 out of 3 falls.
Did you read Heather saying about Monsters Ball? That's so good. You love that gimmick.
Oh, I love Monsters Ball.
I did like Monsters Ball. Monsters Ball was good.
I loved Monsters Ball until it got a little, and even TNA got a little gimmicky with it after a while. But the first few Monsters Balls, one of my favorite moments in TNA was from the second or third Monsters Ball. I want to say it's the second one, but it involved Jeff Hardy and Abyss. And Jeff Hardy put Abyss underneath the stage on the floor on 2 tables, then went on the stage and then climbed the apparatus above the entryway and did a swanton off of that, like 15 feet in front of him, with his head centimeters from clipping the edge of this stage onto Abyss. It was the stupidest swanton I've ever seen in my life. And that match also had Sabu, when Sabu was still fucking, and Rhino. Oh my god, that match was amazing.
How do you know Sabu's not fucking? Like, did he call you? Is he not taking pills? Like, I mean, there's lots of ways. Like, modern medicine, man.
Okay, well, hey, I'm no doctor over here.
I mean, like, I would like to see, like I said, like Buried Alive would be really like a sick way to do it. Just something they haven't done yet would be really cool. No cinema. Those guys wouldn't do that. A first blood match would be cool if it wasn't John Moxley.
Yeah, first blood match, Mox might just not show up.
I mean,
yeah, start bleeding 30
you
seconds
were gonna have
in.
a 3-minute match between FTR and BCC? Come on.
Yeah.
How about a most blood match? You have to fill
on the one hand,
fill up a pint.
A literal pint of blood match.
Wringing out your opponent's blood to fill up your pint.
On the one
that
hand,
would be amazing, wouldn't it? Let's be real. You have to make them bleed
some kind of
and then fill up your
some kind of no rules gimmick. Yeah, some kind of no rules gimmick makes sense of the story. It would be great, but I would still like to see some kind of match where they're still tagging in and out, which I think is why I'd like to see 2 out of 3 falls. It's FTR is so good at tag team wrestling. I just don't ever want to see them not tagging.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with the dog collar match, but I would rather see the tags.
And the thing is, both of those though, it's gonna immediately take you back to the Briscoes, because they did both of those amazingly with the Briscoes, and so it's like, I'm with Jamie. I want to see something different.
Punjabi prison match.
All right, we're going to move on, guys. That was a fantastic match, regardless. That's the worst gimmick. That's almost as bad as blank on a pole matches.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe they can do a kendo stick on a pole match.
Put a Wheeler Yuta on a pole.
Wheeler Yuta on a pole, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Wheeler Yuta on one pole and like one of Dax's kids on the other pole.
Dumbest. You can't stand
Shark Cage.
So you can't stand Last Man Standing. I don't know if you were. I think because we did this probably. I think before you joined us regularly, Austin. My gimmick that I loathe more than anything is the blank on a pole match.
It's so bad.
It's terrible.
It's kind of got the same flaw as the Last Man Standing. There is no entertaining and cool way to climb up a pole and grab some gimmick off the top. Also, you don't win the match by grabbing the gimmick. Why don't you just pretend to be hurt while your opponent goes and grabs it, then just sucker punch him and take it?
Yeah, and the thing is like, oh, well, they can only be the only ones that use it. Well, it's a no disqualification match by nature, right? Yes.
It's It's
What's
like
the
when
fucking point?
it's like when WWE was running the TLC pay-per-view and they're like, we have table matches and ladders match. Let's have a chairs match. What is it? You can only use chairs? So you can beat someone with a chair, but you can't grab anything else at ringside? Like, there's some things that once you've seen that match once, you should be like, oh, we don't need to do that again. Let's come up with something better.
Heather fatherless wrestler on a pole for Christian Cage. That's his every Friday night at the. Oh no, I'm thinking of a different pole. Never mind.
That was bad.
So that was Dynamite, guys. That's how. Yeah, that's how we're gonna segue out of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that was a 5-star match, even with a draw. Like it was.
Absolutely.
Honestly, like I have to, like I just want to revisit the spot of the dueling sharpshooters and then them slapping each other in the face. That was one of the best spots I can remember just of recent memory.
I love
like,
the fact that they both have a locked in sharpshooter, start slapping and say, "Fuck this submission! I'm just gonna keep punching you." It's like, oh my god!
And even before that, when Dax had Mox in the sharpshooter. And Wheeler's got Claudio by the waist trying to pull him back, and Claudio's still sitting there just kicking Dax in the head. That popped the shit out of me.
Yep. And you had 2 different variations of Doomsday devices. It was, oh my god.
It was like for me, the peak of pro wrestling is great tag team wrestling.
Oh yeah.
And this was that.
So speaking of that, I just happened to watch the Iron Claw this past weekend. Anybody, you guys watch that yet?
I have not yet. No, we talked about you and I talked about this last night, but I haven't watched it yet.
Cried like a baby. First off, if you know the story of the Von Erichs, then yeah, it's pretty tragic. But they do show some good stuff. They do show some wrestling. You know, they show the 6-man, like when they became the 6-man NWA champions. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, they beat the Freebirds and stuff like that. But yeah, like the days of great tag team wrestling, they go in phases, man. Like,
oh yeah,
back then, amazing. We had a lull for most of the 2000s, and then here comes FTR, and then here come the Bucks, and then here come Lucha a few other really strong tag teams, and it's just great to see. It's just, yeah, I think right now we are, I don't know if we're in a renaissance of tag team wrestling, but we definitely got a lot of strong tag team wrestling right now.
I agree with you. And I'll put this out there for you guys here. So I'm going to give you a question this week.
Ooh.
Give me a tag team, and it can be from any era you like, right? It can be from the 70s, 80s, 90s, Attitude Era, right now, whatever. Give me a tag team wrestling that you feel doesn't get as much credit for being as good a tag team as they are.
I mean, Heather just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, Machine Guns would definitely fit that bill.
I think Machine Guns do get the credit. At least in I'm a TNA mark, so old school TNA.
Yeah,
mark, so
I think if you saw TNA, you know exactly how good the Machine Guns are. But I think there are a lot of wrestling fans that miss that. So like, yeah, they definitely could fit that bill of a bit underrated. Trying to think off the top of my head who doesn't get enough credit.
Do you want to come back to you? You want me to lead off since I asked the question?
You got one?
Do you have one?
Yeah, I got one.
You go, Jamie.
The Headbangers.
Good call.
They were a really solid tag team in the Attitude Era when you had
ridiculous tag teams.
you had the New Age Outlaws. I mean, hell, I steal a gimmick from them. You had the APA. You had all these other things, and the Headbangers were so good. I love the Headbangers. I mean, one of them, I think he still wrestles, but yeah, they were awesome. I love them back in the day. Of course, Demolition. Like, I don't feel like they get any of the credit they deserve.
I think they do now. I think until you got into like the 2000s, there was still they were just an LOD ripoff, which they were different. They worked completely different, and in ring they were a much better tag team than Legion of Doom, which Legion of Doom was one of my favorite tag teams of all time. But they just beat people up. Like,
Demolition was my choice for this, my precipice for this question, because I was a big Demolition fan, and I feel like, yeah, like you say, like they're getting some credit now. There's actually a push for them to get in the Hall of Fame at WWE, but I loved them. Even when they brought in Crash, the third member, did the whole Freebird thing. I don't care. I still love Demolition. I feel like they were just as good as LOD and Heart Foundation and Rockers back then.
I feel like you could name almost any tag team from the early 90s era, and they would be a good answer for this question. Demolition was great. The Rougeau brothers.
Oh.
People don't remember how good they were in the ring. You had a bunch of teams back then. The Killer Bees, like in the ring,
Killer Bees. My mom used to love the Killer Bees.
Tag teams,
so ridiculous.
like you really didn't get too many actual teams that weren't just guys thrown together, which they didn't even do that much back then. But if you had any actual teams, by the time they got on the big stage of a WWF, they were great. I'm gonna take one from the same era that Jamie went with, and they only had a brief run on American television. But Doug Furnas and Philip LaFawn. If you are not familiar with them, consult YouTube. Their work in Japan was just out of control. And even their short run in WWF, they showed up at Survivor Series 96 and they're around for like maybe a year or so. The first time I remember seeing a move on WWF at the time TV and being like, what was that? Was Doug Furnas has Al Snow. This is 1996 Survivor Series, 4-4 elimination match. It's Furnas and LaFawn. I want to say they were with the Headbangers. They could have had another team with them, but it was against the New Rockers and then Bulldog and Owen. And Doug Furnas sets Al Snow up on the top rope, seated facing out, and does a reverse suplex off the top rope. And I'm like 9 at the time, just like, you can do that? Is that allowed? Yeah, if you're not familiar with Doug Furnas and Philip LaFawn, go watch their work. They're top tier tag team.
Well, I mean, the real answer, truly, I'm sorry you guys failed so miserably, because the real answer, of course, is R-Truth and Pac-Man Jones. No.
I was thinking about throwing out Techno Team 2000 as a joke.
How about Truth and Consequences? R-Truth and a very young Austin Creed.
Oh wow!
Xavier
yeah.
Woods. That was my first ever. I really liked that Xavier Woods. You know, the Consequences Creed. You know, version of him.
It's wild that he's been so good, and he's been in WWE for so long now that you almost forget about the Consequences Creed days.
He wasn't there for just like a week or two. He was there for like 2 years. Yeah.
He had a decent little run, and it was a good character. I was entertained by it, and I almost completely forget about it now because Xavier Woods has been so good.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, for those of you listening to us on the replay, whether you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to us, you know, either give us a tweet at Total Spotfest, hop something in the comments. We never get comments. We get people chatting in live time, but we never get comments after the fact. Maybe it's because it's a live show, whatever. I get it, right? But hey, put us a comment or give us a tweet. Let us know. Give us the tag team that you feel doesn't get the credit that they should, in your opinion. Let us know. Well, guys, we got some real good wrestling coming back to Kansas City very soon.
Oh, man. Hey, some guy put in the chat, Harlem Heat. That's pretty solid, too.
Gee, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
But I feel like Harlem Heat largely gets recognized.
I feel like they get their flowers. Let's be real.
Same with the Quebecers. I forgot about them.
Quebecers. Okay. How about Natural Disasters?
Natural Disasters.
3-minute warning.
I like Natural Disasters because that was, to your point, that was 2 guys who were completely different, but it was the exact same gimmick. And someone's like, what the fuck are we doing? Put these guys together. And they did.
Earthquake and Typhoon.
It was great.
Yeah, Typhoon was an upgrade over Tugboat.
He was Tugboat. Yeah. Tugboat was. Boy, those those late 80s, early 90s, a couple of those gimmicks. Ooh.
But I do. I was gonna say you could name any team from that era, and they'd probably fit that doesn't get recognized enough. Power and Glory, which we get a throwback to a lot of times. The FTRs out there, they do the superplex into the splash, which again for the time was wild. Like you would never have expected to see that.
Dude, Power and Glory was great.
Power and
Glory was great.
Jesus.
Yeah,
The Orient Express tag team. You guys remember the world's greatest tag team?
Oh yeah.
They unfortunately existed at the time when WWE just stopped caring about tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
Because I think you could, if Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas were both like in their early 30s today, they would be killing it on AEW, just having banger matches. Like they would be as good as FTR.
There were some swings that I think were very out of time and place in general, right? Before it turned out to be a total creep, but they had the whole like Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr. thing, right? The legacy. That could have been fantastic. Both those guys weren't ready for that moment, especially DiBiase Jr., right? At the time. But I like the idea of that. How about Spirit Squad?
I mean, they said Dolph.
Okay, I was gonna see
Eminem. Yeah, I'd raise you Eminem.
Eminem was great, and them around the same time you had London and Kendrick.
Oh yeah, oh that's a good one.
And you had Regal and Dave Taylor were teaming at the time in WWF.
It's funny because it ebbs and flows. Because when WWE was definitely not giving a shit about tag teams. And then NXT happened, and then the kind of versions of NXT happened. Then you had a real good NXT tag team going on, which FTR was part of that, right? But you had DIY, FTR, the revival, right? You had AOP, or Authors of Pain, as they were actually known, right? You know? And I know that they're back, but it's just not the same. It's not the same.
It's not.
I think they had a limited shelf life. I think what they did with him in NXT was kind of cool, but I didn't think there was much to do with them going forward.
I think you could have kept that going, but not in that company, right? I think that's a sort of gimmick that you get in small doses. So if you're traveling around, you're going from major indie to major indie. The GCW thing would be, you could keep that going forever in GCW, right?
You know, near and dear to my heart are the Rockers.
I know they are. Hey, that's the
Midnight
first
Express,
time,
Orient Express.
I mean, you talk about the Rockers, man. That barbershop. That was the first time I learned what a turn was in my dear old age of what were we about 8 at the time? 7?
We were 8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Like, yeah.
What just happened?
What? And I thought, And there were a lot of times you go back and look at that era, and Austin he could confirm this. There was straight up like attempted murder like every week on TV. You had the Berserker he tried to impale people, and I'm like, how is he not arrested?
He tried to stab the Undertaker with his sword. I still remember that vividly.
like literally tried to kill him in front of this entire arena of people.
Even that though, I don't even think that matches up to Jake Roberts having a snake literally bite Randy Savage on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Cobra, no less.
Yes, that was, because he usually had a bow, but he brought the Cobra out for Randy. And
that was one of the few things I remember as a kid being like uncomfortable to watch in a good way. Like you're going to keep watching, but you're like, are they really doing that?
Yeah. Of course, everyone remembers the spread of photos, right, in WWE Magazine with Ric Flair. The Ric Flair Miss Elizabeth spread, right, which was photoshopped after all, or whatever.
that Flair and Savage feud was great.
It was.
I think I've said this on the show before. The Survivor Series 91 through WrestleMania 8, where you get the 92 Rumble in the middle, is probably the best like 6-ish month run of TV they've ever done. Every story is popping off. If you haven't seen it, fire up the Peacock. And just start at Survivor Series 91, and there's not a lot to catch up on. A couple pay-per-views, a couple weekly shows. Raw's not around yet, so you don't have that much. But yeah, that is some of the best storytelling they've ever done.
Agreed. Well, for those of you in Kansas City or going to be near Kansas City here, a couple weeks, we do have a brand new promotion starting up. So March 15th, Friday evening.
March 8th.
March 8th. I have the wrong dot. Sorry, I'm looking at the thing. Again,
What?
I swear I'm going to get this
like,
right.
What? Who's running the 15th in Kansas City?
No, the week of the 15th is the Glory Pro thing. That's the Friday, March 8th, in Olathe, Kansas. Fountain City Pros, light it up. Their inaugural show is happening. They made more announcements on town, and this past week they've made another match announcement. So we already know that they have Camaro Jackson in the main event against Fowler. He's just going by Jay Fowler now, I think.
Yeah, he's not Buzzard Steel anymore.
Even though you just said those words, but okay, yes. Apparently he really hates me about the Steel thing, but we'll make that into a gimmick. But Fowler versus Jackson, Camaro for the main event. And then also announced was, and I think this is really cool. So Davey Vega, who is the current destination champion for Anarchy, St. Louis Anarchy, be defending that title against Gary J. That title is called the Destination Championship. It's the Journey Pro title originally. It was folded into St. Louis Anarchy after the fall of Journey Pro, and they've adopted it as one of their titles now. And again, on the inaugural lineup, it's going to be defended here in Kansas City again. I think that's awesome. And Vega J is going to be a fucking great match.
Seen it a few times, but I don't mind seeing it again.
We'll see it again. We're going to see Austin. We don't know what your match is yet, Austin.
It'd be great if we could announce your match on our show, but
it would be great. It would be great. But first show for this company, which obviously means my first show for this company, I'm not going to jump the gun and step on any toes. But I do know what my match is. I will not spoil it until it is announced unless they give us the go ahead. But it'll be a good time and definitely worth coming and checking out for sure.
So keep an eye, because we're going to try and get them, we might have to do some stuff. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this for you guys, because we did confirm this last night, Jamie and I did, that we are going to be involved with the show when it's happening. So Jamie and I will be there as well. We're going to be there anyway. I mean, come say hi to us. We'll be hanging out with a bunch, with the usual suspects of the Kansas City wrestling crew. We will definitely see all of you again. But we're going to be doing the pre-show for them. I don't know exactly what that looks like. We don't have any details, but when part of the ownership chase did triple confirm with us last night, and he said, yeah, we're in for the pre-show. So we'll have more details for you probably next week about some of that stuff. And who knows, we might even be able to announce a match. I don't know, maybe, hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, tune in to find out.
Tune in to find out.
Yes, maybe we can announce two. Maybe we can announce his and Heidi's, since they are in the same house.
Well, there's only one way to really know for sure. It has to come back here next week. Same bad time, same bad channel, folks. If you're not following us already, follow us. Hit the little follow button down below. Hit the bell so you know when we go live. But we will be back next week, same time. We got not just that, but we also have the go home for Revolution next week. So we got the go home for Revolution. Big week of wrestling, big month of wrestling. There's a ton of different things going on in March. I mean, it is sign pointing season, so that's not far around the corner as well. So we'll be back. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you giving us some of your time. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down at Tulsa Spotfest, I got 4 words for you. Meat madness? Holy shit!
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.